Hey guys, welcome back to my podcast. If you're new here, hi, my name is Tiffany, and I do a podcast about TV shows. I typically like to do discussions and recaps just about TV shows that I love, in particular, ones that I find to be some of the best that are out right now. If you haven't been following along to my episodes, I have been talking about Stranger Things season 4. So today I'm jumping back into episode 7, and I guess you can call this part 2 because I did discuss the first half of episode 7 last week. So if you missed that, you can go back to my Facebook page and check out all of my previous podcast episodes. I also upload same day, so they're on YouTube as well. I think most of you guys already know, or anybody that watches me know, that I usually go live like today, every Tuesday on Facebook. But for those who can't catch the live, because I know a lot of people are working or in school at this time, just know that I upload same day. So you can always catch my previous podcast episodes on my social media pages. So it's not a big deal if you miss my live, although I do appreciate people who do watch it live. But anyway, so we're going to jump back into Stranger Things. I feel like I say this every time I talk about it, but there's a lot going on this episode, so I had to kind of cut it in half. I believe episode 7 was like, shoot, I think it was like an hour and a half, I think. So I was like, I'm not going to be able to talk about everything just in one podcast episode because I try not to make my episodes too long. So yeah, I talked about the first part last week, so I'm going to talk about the second part this week. And then, of course, the Stranger Things discussion will continue because I'm going to talk about episode 8 and 9. And I'm most likely going to have to break that up too because episode 9 is like 2.5 hours. I might have to break that up into 3 parts. I don't know because, again, too much stuff happens for me to like really to really try to discuss everything in one podcast episode. I just feel like that's a bit much. And I know you guys probably don't want to hear me talk that much, and it's kind of a strain on my voice. So, I mean, we'll see when we get there. But just so you guys know, I am talking about episode 7, and I feel like the majority of people have seen all of season 4 of Stranger Things. So, a lot of this stuff probably isn't spoilers to you guys, but for those who haven't seen it, just letting you know, I am talking about the way it pretty much ends in volume 1. So if you don't want to know, just come back to my podcast episode later. And if you don't mind about hearing it, then stay tuned because I'm going to be talking about it. And I did kind of want to mention too, I've been saying this as well, like once I'm done talking about Stranger Things, I really want to make sure that I have another TV show lined up to talk about. So please let me know like what show that you guys want to I'm sorry, I'm looking down because I want to make sure that sorry, I just want to make sure this is public on Facebook. So I want to make sure that I discuss a TV show maybe that you guys are into, or maybe even introduce you guys to a show that you've never heard about. I mentioned there's a show on Hulu that I've been watching called Everything's Trash. I'm a little behind on that, but that's still on the first season. They're about 5, 6 episodes in, so that's something I feel like people could catch up with pretty easily. And the episodes are only like, I think they're only like 20, 30 minutes, maybe not even that. So that's one show I was thinking about discussing. If there's another show that you're like, oh, Tiffany, you have to get into this, like, I need you to discuss this on your podcast, please let me know. Reach out to me on social media. You can email me if you have my number. You can text me. Just let me know, just so I kind of have an idea of what show to talk about because I feel like there's just so many TV shows out there and it's kind of hard to pick one. I mean, I would go ahead and discuss multiple TV shows at the same time, but I don't want to confuse anybody that's listening to me. And I feel like, me, I might get confused and might be like, wait a minute, what was I talking about last week? So I'm kind of just taking it one show at a time. So yeah, give me your recommendations. It doesn't have to be anything that's super new. It could be something that's been out like Stranger Things. And it doesn't have to be something super dramatic. If it's something funny, or kind of really any genre, and I'll look into it. I'll check it out, and then I'll let you guys know like once we get closer to the end of Stranger Things season 4, and I'll kind of let you know. Or maybe I could do a poll. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll do a poll, and then hopefully you guys can vote or leave comments and just be like, hey, I think you should discuss this show, and then I'll kind of know like what you guys want to hear me talk about. Anyway, let's jump into Stranger Things, y'all. Is this a lot? Although I feel like I covered most of what happened in episode 7 in the first part in my last episode, but still, there was still a lot that happened towards the end. I literally have to look at my notebook like every time I talk about this show because I don't remember everything off just off the top of my head. Because as you guys know, I did watch all of season 4 when it came out. I kind of binge watched it like most people did. So there's a lot of stuff that I didn't remember, and I had to go back and like take notes about stuff. Anyway, so last week we left off with Mystery. I'm calling him Mystery Guy, the blonde-headed guy, the one that befriended Elle at Hawkins' lab, and he comes in out of nowhere, and he's just like, hey, like Dr. Brenner, he's not being honest with you. He's not telling you everything that's going on here. This place is basically a prison. You need to get out of here, and I'm going to help you get out. And, it's just coming off a little too good to be true. It's kind of just like, why are you really trying to help her? And I think a lot of people that are watching it, especially in real time, were just kind of like, there seems to be other intentions here. There seems to be another motivation, but you're not quite sure. At least I wasn't. I felt like he wasn't 100% genuine, but I also wasn't sure that, I was thinking, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he really is trying to help her. But then I'm also just like, well, if that's the case, what happened to him then? If he really was just this nice guy that was trying to help her? Because you have to remember all this stuff that's happening in Hawkins' lab. This is all part of Elle's memory. So this happened way back when she was younger. I would say season 4 kind of serves as like a prequel kind of to season 1. So this is why I keep mentioning, for those of you who haven't seen season 1, you need to see it to understand like what's going on in season 4 and just to understand like what I'm talking about. So I highly recommend going back and just rewatching, or not rewatching, but watching the whole series if you haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it, and then if you want to go back and rewatch it just to kind of refresh your memory, you can. I didn't do that before season 4 came out. I probably should have, but I was just too lazy. I was just ready to see the new episodes. But yeah, there's a lot of references to season 1, and like I said, kind of serves as like a prequel because it's filling in spaces that we didn't see in season 1, and then it's like, oh, that makes sense. It's that kind of thing. So I was like, if he really helped Elle escape and he was really just trying to be her friend and everything, it's just like, well, what happened to him? That didn't make sense to me. So I was kind of like, there's something else going on here. So anyway, left off with that. So he's in the middle of trying to break her out of there. And they're having a conversation, and she's like, well, you're helping me, so I want to be able to help you. And he's like, well, I can't leave because I have this tracker in me, and they'll see like wherever I go, they'll see. And then if I'm with you, you'll get caught too. And so it just all lines up too perfectly. And then she's like, well, like, let me take it out for you. Just super like naive and stuff, and just kind of like, well, let me just help you so we can both escape together. And then it comes to a point where you're kind of like, okay, clearly that's what he was expecting her to do, or that's what he was hoping for her to do. It gets to that point where you're just like, okay, I see what you're playing at now here. I see where you're playing at, dude. And then back in Russia, so the whole scene with the inmates that are gearing up to fight the Demogorgon, I mean, they built that up for like the last few episodes. So it really is like by the time it's happening, or by the time it's about to happen, I think everybody, including me, was like really hyped for that scene, because we're just like, okay, they've been talking about this Demogorgon that's gonna like kill everybody and that they have to go up against it. So that was like a big like anticipation scene. I feel like they built it up pretty good for people to like really be antsy, to see it. So they're in the prison, and then you have to remember that Murray and Joyce are there too, but Hopper doesn't know. He doesn't see that. He's just thinking about the freaking Demogorgon that's about to come out and kill everybody. And so the Demogorgon comes out and completely destroys like everybody except Hopper and Enzo. It was insane. Like, I knew it was going to be pretty crazy because the way they were building it up. And I felt like, if this Demogorgon has been trapped in this prison for this long and it's been feeding on other people, it's going to be super strong, which it was. Like, I think that's the strongest Demogorgon that we've seen in Stranger Things, at least from what I remember. So it came out swinging, like killing people left and right. And I honestly think it probably would have gotten Hopper had he not had that fire. So what he ended up doing was, remember he stole the bottle of alcohol, and he had a lighter from the guard. And so he has a stick, and he was like real smart about it and lit it up. And then at first it wasn't lighting, and I was like, oh my god, like, are y'all really doing this? Like, do not mess with Hopper, he's been through enough. But he ends up lighting it, and so that's pretty much like what saves him, because the Demogorgon doesn't like fire, obviously. So and it's crazy because while they're fighting the Demogorgon, or while they're just trying to like stay alive, I should say, um at the same time, Murray and Joyce are going up against the guards. So they pretty much corner them, and now they're just like, open up this gate and let our friends out, or we're going to shoot you. And of course, they're like, no, of course it's not going to be that easy. So Murray comes in clutch and is like fighting everybody and everything. And so Joyce ends up opening the door, and so Hopper and Endo are able to squeeze through at like the very last minute. And again, if he didn't have that fire, like they would have been taken out for sure. So that was really smart on Hopper's part. Not that I thought he was gonna die or anything, because I really just kept thinking like, why would they keep doing more damage to Hopper? Like, he's already been in prison for like almost a year, and he's been beaten and all this other stuff. So I'm just like, I don't think they would bring him this far only to kill him. I mean, I know there's TV shows that do like they do that where they think, oh, this character is safe, and then they'll like kill them off. But I just felt like that wouldn't make sense for them to do that with Hopper. So I really didn't think he was gonna die, but it was more so just like, please stop hurting him. Like, he's been hurt enough. And he's been damaged and traumatized enough. Like, let's just get him out of there. And I was rooting for Endo too, because I mean, he tried to help Hopper and everything like that. So they got out, luckily. And what I feel like was one of the best scenes this season was Joyce and Hopper reuniting. And I think that's been a long time coming for those of us who have been watching for a while. We already know that there was kind of something between them. And it's funny thinking back on like season 1 and season 2, because I don't think, from what I remember, I don't think they really got along that well. It's not like they were enemies or anything, because I think they've known each other since they were like in high school, but they didn't run with the same people, so they weren't really like friends. I think they were kind of just acquaintances. So they got older, had families, and went their own separate ways and everything. But obviously, with everything, all the supernatural stuff that's happened, that brought them together and stuff, and it kind of forced them to work together. And so, just thinking back to like how they were before, and then just like where they're at now, and how like they're into each other, of course. So it's like this very I don't even know what the word is. I guess you could say bittersweet moment, where he comes out of the prison, and then like it's the slow motion scene. They make it all like intense, and Joyce and Hopper see each other, and she runs up to him and hugs him and everything. And I think there's a split second where he's kind of just like, "Is this really happening? Is this real? Like, she's really here and I'm really out?" Right? Because again, he's been locked up for so long. I think it was kind of like shock a little bit. And then he kind of like relaxes, and he kind of, it's so cute, like he kind of smiles like and hugs her back, and he like lays his head on top of hers. And I was like, you guys, come on, do not do this to us. Or actually, yeah, do it, because that's like one of the rare happy scenes this season. Like, most of the stuff that happens this season is just like super messed up. So that was one of the best scenes, I feel like, this season. And I was like, man, like, they've been talking about going on a date. I think they were talking about that last season, and then it didn't happen, obviously, because everything that happened with Hopper, and then they thought he was dead. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that next season. I'm looking forward to them developing the relationship more, and hopefully us being able to see them like actually date and actually be together. And I hope that they don't get split up again. I hope nothing happens to Hopper. Like, y'all, do not do that. Please don't do that. So yeah, that was a really sweet scene. Although I know some people, it's funny because like I'll go back and watch YouTube reactions of people watching Stranger Things, season 4 for the first time and stuff. And a lot of people are like, they're taking too long. They need to get out of the prison. Why are they sitting there hugging? They need to go. Like, I know y'all haven't seen each other, but like, this ain't the time for that. But I'm like, if you haven't seen somebody that you love or that you really care about for almost a year, and you thought they were dead, like, of course you would stop to hug them. I don't think you would just be like, hey, come on, let's go. We got to get out of here. Like, I was like, give them a moment, And also, it was in slow motion. So, of course, it made it seem like it made it seem like they were hugging for like 5 minutes when it was probably only like seconds, you know what I mean? But anyway, before I jump into that, I did want to let you guys know that my podcast is sponsored by Stream Media. So the way I'm able to go live every week and talk to you guys this way is because I use the Streann Studio software, which comes from Stream Media. If you haven't heard about it, if you want to check it out, just go to studio.streann.com. It's very simple and easy to use. All you need is an email to log in. They'll send you a login code and you're in. So it's free, easy to use. Like I said, obviously I use it every single week. And I like to try to use like the different little features that come with it just so you guys can kind of see, like what you can do with it. There's some other things that I haven't really played around with yet. So I definitely recommend checking it out for yourself. If you are interested in live streaming or you've been thinking about creating content or anything like that, Stream Studio is here. It's free. It's easy for you to use. So definitely check it out. And if you create your own content, don't forget to tag me and tag Stream Media so they know that you're using it. And just tell me, because I would love to check out other people's content. Like, obviously, if you support me, I definitely want to support you. So yeah, don't be afraid to hit me up and let me know that you used it. And if you need help with it, which I'm sure you won't, because like I said, it's pretty easy to use. If you need help using it, just reach out to me and I will show you how I do it and how I live stream and all that kind of stuff. Because I'm new to this as well. Like, I've never done live streaming or podcasting really before. I've only done podcasting, I think, maybe once or twice before, and it was for a school assignment. This is when I was still in college, and that was, again, it was an assignment, so it wasn't like a real thing like how this is. So this has all been pretty new to me, and I'm still learning things as well. But yeah, like I said, if you need help, reach out to me and tell me how you like it. So thank you to Stream Media for sponsoring my podcast, and let's get back into Stranger Things. Um so yeah, so Joyce and Hopper, they have their little reunion. He's out. They're kind of out, I guess. They're still in the prison, but they're out of the part where the Demogorgon was at. So it's like, oh, we made it past this, but now we have to actually get out of the prison thing. So, but I think that was kind of the biggie. It was like, we just need to get them out of here, because this thing is like wild, and then jumping over to the Hawkins crew. So I think in my last podcast episode, I was talking about how they had got stuck in the upside down because Steve jumped in. Well, he didn't jump in there, but he had jumped underwater to see if there was a gate there, which it was, and it pulled him under. And then he was getting attacked by the bats. And then so the rest of the crew had to come in and save him. And then so they were stuck there. They've been stuck there for a while. And then what they ended up doing was they were able to communicate with, Dustin and Max and Lucas, who are in Hawkins and the real Hawkins. And pretty much, and they're just like, hey, we're stuck. Like, we need your help. How do we get out of here? And they tell them that, or they figure out that there are gates where every murder has happened. So they get their bikes and they pedal to Eddie's trailer. Because remember, in the first episode, Chrissy died in Eddie's trailer. So now there's a big crack in the ceiling, which is a gate now to the upside down. And so they go there, and from the other side, Dustin and Max and Lucas and stuff, they poke a hole so that they can get through. And it's like this whole like really weird, kind of cool and crazy scene that they have, because when they go through the gate, it's like they're coming out the opposite end. So it's like they're falling when they come through the gate, which I thought that was really cool. I don't know how they shot that, but that looked like something that would be kind of fun to film, I guess, for the actors. And then so they're going one by one. And again, the way they like build up scenes where you think what's going to happen and then something else happens, I was like, y'all need to stop doing this to us. So so the scene is like, they I think Dustin created like a rope out of bed sheet so that they could crawl up and get through the gate. And so they're going one by one. And at this point, it's kind of like, y'all are going a little bit too slow. Like, we need to get out of here, because Vecna knows that you're there and he can send, the bats or anything to them at any point. Something could happen. So it's like, come on, like, let's get everybody through. And so they're getting everybody through. And of course, at the end, it's just Nancy and Steve. And they've been kind of doing that a lot this season, like leaving them two together. So that's why I feel like, too, why they were really, like really pushing that maybe they could get back together, or maybe there's still feelings there for both of them. I don't know. But the way they do that, and I think you guys let me know if you felt this way when you watched it. So they're of course Steve is like, Nancy, you go, like I'll help you go. And it's like, are y'all really gonna leave Steve there? They're like, that's the way they were setting it up. And I didn't like that. I was like, don't do that, because he just got attacked by those bats. So they're making it seem like Steve is gonna get stuck there. And what ends up happening is, it's just again really like weird scene where Nancy's climbing up the rope, and you think she's going to make it to the other side, and all of a sudden she's like falling into this darkness. And I think, and again, it's so funny if you go back and watch YouTube reactions, every single person that watches that scene is like, wait, what? Huh? Like, what happened? Because it just happens like that. And it's like, wait, how did she go from climbing the rope to now she's like falling into darkness or something? And so she lands really hard on her back. I know that hurt. And it's just like, what? Like, what's going on? And then you see Steve is like shaking her, like trying to wake her up, and it's like, oh shoot, Vecna got to her. God dang it, Vecna got to her. And like I said, you should have known something like that was going to happen, because the way they were going through the gate one by one, it was just like, nah, something's going to happen to where they're not all going to make it through. And it was and they were going kind of slow too. So I was like, I don't like this. I don't like this. So Vecna has her now, at least in her mind, like he's messing with her mind. And it's really messed up, because what she's seeing is, so obviously, like when Vecna, when he targets people, everybody sees something differently, and it all kind of goes back to whatever it is that you fear, whatever it is that you're guilty about, what's traumatized you. It's like all the psychological horror. And for her, what she sees is Barb. And again, if you guys remember season one, this is what I'm saying. You have to go back and watch season one if you haven't seen it. She had a friend in high school named Barb that got killed. And I think pretty much since that happened, I think Nancy has always blamed herself, or just has always felt guilty. And I don't think it was something that was really talked about. Like, I don't think it's been talked about probably since season one, or maybe since season two. I don't remember. But I don't think it's something that we really, like, as an audience, knew that Nancy was still feeling guilty about that, but clearly she is, because that's what she sees. Like, she sees Barb's dead body in the pool, because that's where she died. And so it was just really messed up. I'm like, dang, that's cold. Imagine seeing that. Like, imagine seeing your dead friend, like a vision or whatever, like in your mind of your friend that died, and you have all this guilt, thinking like, man, like if I would have done this, or if I would have done that, I could have saved her, or maybe she would have still been here. I'm pretty sure that's what Nancy was thinking. So that was pretty messed up. I'm like, Vecna is like super cruel, like the things that he makes people see. And again, that's why it kind of reminds me of like Stephen King novels, and especially with it, because that's the whole thing with Pennywise, like him torturing people because of their trauma, because of their fears, and that's what he feeds off of. He feeds off of your fear. So whatever it is that you're scared of, or whatever secrets you have, like these deep hidden secrets that are weighing you down, that's what you're going to see when he messes with you. And so it's just all mental, and it's really messed up. Like, and I think that stuff is more scary probably than like, um I don't know, than like creatures that would like never exist in real life. I think when, as an audience, when we see stuff like that, we're like, oh, that's really scary, because we all have fears. We all have things that, I wouldn't say that we regret, but maybe things that we're like, man, I wish I wouldn't have done that, or wish I would have done it differently and stuff. And so just imagine somebody like pointing out all that stuff to you and making you like relive bad memories, or just making you relive things that's traumatized you. Like, that would be scary for anybody. um so yeah, that's messed up. So he has her, and again, when he had her, I wasn't thinking like, oh, she's gonna die, but I was just like, dang, like, I know, like, he's probably really gonna mess with her for sure, because she's kind of been one of the stronger characters, I think. I was gonna say this season, but probably in the last like couple seasons, but especially this season. Like, I think Nancy was like really, um just such a baddie, like she was just so fearless, I think, this whole season. So I feel like it made sense that he would target her, because she's just been going like head on with this stuff. And then jumping to Elle. So Everything with Elle is just it's just it was just so crazy, you guys, if you haven't seen it. So jumping back to with Elle and the mystery guy, I'm calling him mystery guy because you'll find out in a minute what his real name is. So Elle is like, okay, I'm gonna help you out because you helped me out, and she removes the chip. Now remember, he said this chip is like a tracker and it also weakens him. So again, I think when a lot of people heard that, they were like, wait a minute, it weakens you? Do you have powers? Are you one? Now, when I watched it, I didn't immediately go, oh, he's number one, but I was like, I just knew something was up, like I knew something was off with him at this point, but I didn't make the connection that if he didn't already guess, he's number one. And so the guards catch them basically, and they start running, and they're kind of cornered off. And at this point, it's kind of like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And boy, does he show out. Number one shows out. Like, he starts snapping people's necks left and right. Well, I shouldn't say people's necks, but the guards' necks left and right. And even Elle is looking like, what? So, because you have to remember, like, what she's like at the time that she's remembering all of this happening, we're seeing it for the first time too. So it's like the audience and Elle is going through the same emotions, which I like the way they wrote that. Because I feel like a lot of times in TV shows, it's usually the audience finds out things first, and then the characters in the show find out, and we're like sitting there going, how, like we're like screaming and going, how do you not know this? You need to figure this out before it's too late. And so I felt like that was kind of cool that they wrote it. With the main character and the audience, we're all kind of like going through it at the same time, basically. And so she's sitting there going, like, what? Like, what the heck? How do you have powers? Like, she didn't say that, but that's the way she's looking. And they run into like this room, I think, and he shows the tattoo, and it says one. And I just remember being like, oh shoot, like he is one, and earlier in one of the other episodes, he mentioned one, and he was like, yeah, I remember like when one was here and he would train and do all this stuff. So they were trying to make it seem like one was there at one point, and maybe he broke out or something happened to him, and this guy just happened to be there and witness all of it. But it's like, no, because he was one. That's why he was able to tell all that stuff to Elle. And so it's just crazy. So that's like one of the first big reveals that we see. And again, so I think they split up. I think what happens. No, I think he leaves the closet, and once Elle comes out later, she's seeing that like all these people are dead, and it's just like, whoa, like what the heck is going on? And you have to remember, like, Elle, yes, she's killed people, but it's always been in self-defense. It wasn't like she was going out of her way to hurt people. It was like, if you're going to come after me, I'm going to come after you, or I'm going to defend myself. And so I think at that, and you have to remember, she was like way younger at this time. This was in 1979, I think, correct me if I'm wrong. And so it's just this really like horrific image of her walking through the hallways and seeing like everybody's dead, like everybody is gone, everybody's dead. And you could hear like screams in the distance and stuff, so like he's attacking people and everything. And so that was crazy because, again, now we're knowing, okay, he was the one that killed all the kids and killed everybody. It wasn't her, it was him. And I think that, again, that definitely made much more sense, because when they showed that scene, they showed the scene multiple times throughout this whole season, but when they showed it for the first time in episode 1, it was just like, but why would she kill all the kids though? Why would she kill everybody like that? It just didn't make sense. It was like, what would be her motivation to do that, especially at that age and at that time? It just didn't make sense. So now it's all adding up where you're like, okay, he's one, he has powers, and he befriended her because he wanted something from her. It wasn't to be, like genuine and all that kind of stuff. Then once that chip is out and his powers are able to be activated and nothing's holding him back anymore, now he didn't let loose, and now he's just killing everybody. And yeah, and now it's just like chaos, basically. Now, obviously, he didn't kill Dr. Brenner. Like, Dr. Brenner got hurt, but he didn't die, obviously, because he's in the season. But I'm not too sure. You guys can let me know like what you think. I'm not sure if when he was killing people, if he thought Dr. Brenner was dead, or if he just wanted to hurt him, or what. Like, I don't know what the case was there. Like, I'm not sure if he realize that Dr. Brenner wasn't dead. And if he had realized that he wasn't dead, would he have gone back to kill him? I don't know. I really want to know that, because I don't feel like they answered that. If you guys know, please let me know. But I really don't think he knew that he wasn't dead. Like, I think he like probably thought that he was, like when he was knocked out, he probably thought that he was dead, I'm sure. I don't know. But maybe he didn't want to kill him. I don't know. I'm really confused about that. But just let me know like what you guys think, or if they did mention that in the show and I just didn't catch it. I'm not too sure. Quick break, quick pause before I get into it. I know, don't be mad at me. I know you're probably like, why would you stop there? I know. Just give me a moment. Just to let you guys know, that my podcast is sponsored by Streann Media. And again, if you would like to check out the Streann Studio software, which is what I use to go live every Tuesday with you guys, you could go to studio.streann.com and check it out for yourself. You just need your email, and then you get a login code and you're in. So let me know if you guys use it. If you're creating your own content, whether you're a content creator or not. I mean, you don't have to be like a professional at this. Look at me. I barely know what I'm doing. I'm just doing it. And like I said, it's really good. I think it's really good for beginners, but it's also good for people that, love live streaming. And it doesn't have to be to Facebook like I do. It could be to YouTube. It could be to Twitch. I know a lot of people like doing that for gaming. I've never done that before, although, I mean, it looks kind of fun, looks kind of interesting. But if that's your thing, then that's definitely something you could do. You don't have to live stream and do a podcast. It could literally be any content that you want to do. So just make sure that you tag Streann Media on social media so that they can see that you like Streann Media and that you're using their content and their software. And then tag me or message me as well, just to let me know that like you learned about it through me, because that would be pretty cool to know. And anyway, yeah, let's get back to Stranger Things. So, yeah, you know what? Let me just talk about the end, because I was gonna try to go around it, but at this point, I'm already talking about it. So, Elle, again, she finds out that he's won, and she's seeing that he's like killed all these people, and when they come face to face, she's mortified. Like, I don't know, maybe in that moment she did realize that, like, oh shoot, like I'm the one that took the chip out and now he's gone crazy. I don't know. I'm sure there was so many things going through her mind, because again, she was just so young at that time. She might have been like 10 or 11. I don't even know. Or maybe younger. I don't know. Let me know if you guys know what age she was when she was in the Hawkins lab, or when all this happened. And so she comes face to face with him. She tries to like run at first, and then he locks her in and was like, "Oh shoot! Like, what's she about to do? What are you about to do?" And as like any great villain, he has this whole like monologue. I think some people didn't really care for that, but I feel like I understood why they put that in there, because we needed some explanation, some type of background on him, and why he was doing what he was doing, why he is the way he is. I think everybody kind of wants to know that when you're watching a bad guy in a TV show or movie. You're kind of just like, well, what's his motivation? Like, how did he get this way? Was he always this way? And in his case, y'all, he's always been evil. So that answers that. But he goes off into this whole monologue about how, like, basically I think he saw like a lot of greatness, a lot of potential in Elle, and that's kind of why he befriended her. And he pretty much was like, I want you to be my partner, kind of like my partner in crime in a sense, and stuff like that. Like, we can go out and like rule the world together and everything. And which I thought was really weird, because I'm like, dude, you're like, he has to be like in his 20s at that time or something. She's like this little kid. Now, I know it's because they grew up, under the same lab and they both have the same powers. But at the same time, like, why would you want like a little kid to be your partner in crime? Like, see, that tells you right there just how messed up in the head he is. But yeah, he talks about all this. I mean, it's a really great scene though. You guys have to watch it for yourselves to really get the full effect of it. But just to summarize it, he pretty much lets her know like about his childhood and everything, and how he pretty much knew from a young age that he was different. And now while he's telling this, they're showing like all the flashbacks, and then you have to remember that so remember Vecna's in Nancy's mind, and she's seeing all this play out too at the same time. So it's like all this different stuff happening at the same time. And so the other big reveal is that we learn that not only is this guy number one, but he's also Henry, as in Victor Krill's son. Like, what? what? I did not see that coming. And if you guys don't remember, if you're like, who the heck is Victor Creel? Victor Creel is the guy that got put away for killing his family. So remember Nancy and Robin earlier in the season went to go visit him in the jail cell, and they were trying to figure out like, what is this demon that you're saying attacked your family? Like, what really happened? And then we learned from then, that it wasn't him that killed his family. It was Vecna. And now we're like, oh no, not only was it Vecna, but it was Henry. And not only was it Henry, but it's one. So he's all three people, if you guys didn't catch that. He's number one. He's also Henry, which is Victor Creel's son. And he's also Vecna. Like, what? What? Please be honest and comment below if you saw that coming or if you knew, like when they said that, were you like, oh, I knew it? Because I had no idea. I thought that was a crazy plot twist. Like that, the way it ended and the way everything just came full circle and connected, I thought that was so trippy. I was like, what? Like I was genuinely surprised. Like I would say maybe not as surprised that he was number one and like that he had powers, but the fact that he was also, or not that he was also, that he is Henry and that he's also Vecna, like what? Crazy. Please tell me like what y'all thought when you first seen that, because I was like, this is insane, but in a good way. Because I just felt like that's really great writing to be able to connect things that happened way back in season one and to make it make sense for season four. I don't know if the Duffer Brothers and the rest of the writers, if they planned this from the very beginning. I feel like they probably didn't. So for them to be able to write that and tie in everything back to season one and it just make it make sense is like insane to me. Like that's pretty like amazing storytelling, if you ask me. So, and the way they unfolded the whole story too, the way they kind of dragged it out throughout the whole season, and then up until this episode 7 to reveal it and everything. I just felt like the way they rolled it out was really good too. Like it didn't feel like it dragged on for too long. It wasn't like we were going, okay, like when are you going to tell us what really happened? It was just like keeping us on the edge of our seats the whole time. And then when they finally told it, we were like, well, at least I was. I don't know about y'all. Please be honest and tell me, did you know did you already figure that out? Because I know some people are like, oh, I already knew that. Like I figured it out in episode 5 or something. I was like, child, I did not know any of that. Like I didn't guess that. I didn't predict that. I was like, just in shock when I first heard that, and when they were playing the flashback scene. So that means that Henry, he killed his whole family, and then let his dad get the blame. So that's why his Victor Creel, that's why he's locked up, because the police obviously came and they're like, you're crazy, you killed your whole family. And of course, if he tells them no, it was because he doesn't know. Victor thinks it's a demon that killed his family. He doesn't realize that his son had powers and that he's the one that did it. So, and I think even if he had knew, I felt like he probably would have, I don't think he would have sold him out, to be honest. I don't think he would have sold his son out. I think he probably would have just taken the blame for it. But it's still messed up that he got locked up and now he's like living in he's living in like a cell for the rest of his life because people think he's this sociopath. And I'm like, no, it's your son. Like your son killed your wife and he killed your daughter. Like, which is, his sister and his mom. Like that's messed up, bro. Like you cannot tell me he hasn't been evil from the very beginning. Because I know some people are like, well, they think it was Elle's doing, which technically it kind of was, but like if you're going all the way back to when he was a kid and this was like way before he knew Elle, like this is before Elle was even born. This is before he was a part of the Hawkins lab. Like, nah, that dude was crazy from the beginning. Okay. And so, he's telling the story and we're seeing the flashbacks of like when he was a kid back in the 50s and stuff and how he like tapped into his powers and he killed his whole family, except for the dad. And then, his dad got locked away. And so obviously he was kind of on his own. And that's how Dr. Brenner was able to, I guess you could say, adopt him. And, that's what started the whole Hawkins lab thing. That's how he became number one. He was the first test subject for Dr. Brenner. And then I'm sure like once he realized the extent of this kid's power, he was like, I have to see if I can recreate this. And that's why there was so many kids who had powers and stuff. And that's kind of what started the whole science experiment. That's how Elle came to be and everything. So it's just crazy, like learning all of this now, like so late into the show, that this is kind of what started everything. It's just it's insane, you guys. And so yeah, so now we're coming up to like a battle. Because when he tells her like, hey, I wanted you to be by my side, like, we can leave this place and run the world together, and she's just like, no, absolutely not. Like, I'm not like that. I don't want to do that. I don't like you. You're crazy. Like, you killed everybody and now you want me to be by your side, and like, what? And of course she doesn't say that, but basically she's like, no, no, we're not doing that. And she pushes him, like, not even pushes him, but like, uses her powers to throw him up against the wall. And from then on, it's on a crack-a-lackin'. It's like, okay, now we're about to get a fight. Now we're about to see what really happened here. And why she was so bloody. That makes sense too, because in the flashback, the way they show it, it just shows her bloody and it shows all these people dead on the ground. So of course they're framing it to look like she did it, but now we know that it was him. And so they have this big fight, and it's crazy. And I thought what was really cool about the fight, and what was pointed out to me, was there's a scene that they have earlier. I don't know what episode it is, but Henry, or One, or Vex, I don't even know what to call him, but he has a conversation with Elle, and he basically is trying to help her tap into her powers. And he says, like, I know what helped One. Like, what helped One was he remembered something that made him angry and something that made him upset. And so she tries that, I think, in another flashback when she's going up against one of the other kids, and it kind of works for her. And so at this moment when they're battling, his words come back to her, and I think she's kind of thinking, okay, I need to think about something that like really hurt me so that I can be stronger and defeat him. And that doesn't work. Like, he kind of overtakes her for a minute, and it kind of looks like she's about to lose, but then she remembers, she remembers all the way back to like her birth, which is crazy because I'm like, most people do not remember that, but she remembers her mom basically. And that memory is what gave her the strength to defeat him, basically, like the love that she had for her mom, even though it's sad that she got taken away from her mom and that her mom's no longer there, but that's her mom, that's her birth mom. So she'll always have love for her. And I think it just shows like the main difference between Elle and Henry in the way that they utilize their powers. It's like, obviously they have the same powers, but Henry, he feeds off of anger. He feeds off of the things that have upset him, whereas she was feeding off of love, basically. And it kind of sounds corny, but it's like cool to see that, to see how different they are. Because it's like, if she had really ran off and tried to run with him, like, it just wouldn't have worked out, because that just wasn't Elle. Like, that's not her heart. That's just not the type of person she is. Now, maybe she could have turned evil later on if she had actually went off with him and everything, but he's been evil from the jump. So that's just who he was. Whereas Elle, she was not like that, even though, yes, she has killed people, and you could say she's done some questionable things, but it was just like, I don't know, I just like that difference and stuff. I don't know if a lot of people caught that, because I didn't catch that at first until somebody pointed it out, and they're like, did you guys realize that like her strength came when she remembered her mom and remembered being born and like the love that she was receiving for her mom? And I was like, oh, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. So I thought that was kind of cool, the way they did that. And then yeah, so she beats the dude and literally like banishes him to the upside down. And so this is how the first gate was created. And they showed the gate back in season 1, and they, obviously we didn't know all of that had happened. So that's why I said this kind of serves as like a prequel to season 1, because now we're filling in the blanks, and we're kind of going, okay, that's what happened, and that's how it led to this, and that's kind of just how everything started, which is insane. Like, how the whole Hawkins lab started because of Henry, and the way that's how Elle got her powers, because Dr. Brenner started with 1 and then ended up with 11, and how the first gate to the upside down was open because she banished him there. And I don't think that was like her intention. Like, I really think it was just, she probably didn't even realize how strong she was at that time. I think it just happened. And once it happened, like the gate had been open. There was no undoing that. And so once he was banished to the upside down, obviously that's when he became Vecna, like over time and stuff. Because again, I think this is 1979, and so when Will went missing, that was 83, so that was a few years later, and then jump to the present, which is 86, I think. So he has been in the Upside Down for a long time, and you can only imagine like how, like if he was evil before, you can only imagine how like messed up he is now, and how he definitely wants to, to get Elle. And he's been trying to get her this whole time. That's what's really trippy too. So that means he's been trying to go after Elle since the beginning of the show. And we just didn't realize it was him. We didn't know like what had happened with her and him. We didn't know his backstory, but now we do. So now we know that he's pretty much been trying to get Elle this whole time. So you can kind of put two and two together that in episode 8 and 9 there's going to be a rematch and they're going to come face to face. Now I'm not going to talk about that now. I'm going to save that for next week and everything. And again, if you've seen it, then you already know what happens, but if you haven't, get ready because it's insane. Like when I tell you I was emotional in I would say episode 9, probably not 8, but episode 9 made me emotional. I think a lot of people like cried watching the last episode. I definitely cried. So just get ready. Like we're going to be talking about it. I'm not even ready. I already seen it, but it's just insane, like crazy. But like I said, it just really amazing storytelling this season. So shout out to the Duffer Brothers and everybody that worked on Stranger Things this season. Like honestly, I'm just gonna say best season so far. I still really love season 3, but just the way that they crafted this whole season, like everything down to the storylines, the villain. Vecna's been like the best villain I think so far. The score is really good. Obviously, they've always kind of used 80s music because the whole show is set in the 80s, but I just think the score in particular for this one was really, really good. And I think the score is on Spotify and it's probably on Apple Music too if you want to listen to it. And just everything, like wardrobe, like the way that they designed the Vecna costume and everything, like just everything was like really, really good. So yeah, they definitely deserve their flowers and I think what made it so great too is because they had extra time to finish the season and to kind of do whatever it was that they wanted to do because the pandemic hit. So, a lot of stuff wasn't in production for a while. So I think they had the extra time to really like deliver the season because man, I don't know if it would have been the same if they had only had, like if the pandemic hadn't happened and they only had a certain amount of time to bring out the season. I don't know if it would have been this good. I don't know. Like, I honestly don't know. So, uh, maybe that was kind of a blessing in disguise for them. I'm not sure, but because I know a lot of people were waiting for Stranger Things and it seemed like it took forever to come out, but like, look at what they delivered. I think it was worth the wait. So, and obviously, like I said, I'm still going to talk about episode 8 and 9. But yeah, I know a lot of people are waiting for season 5. Season 5, if you guys didn't know, it's the last season. Supposedly, that's what they said for Stranger Things. I think they're working on maybe like a spin-off that's supposed to be like maybe a prequel or something. I don't think it's gonna be about Elle and the rest of the kids, but if they do that, that should be interesting. But yeah, I'm really excited to talk about the last 2 episodes of the season and just, of course we'll get into theories of what you think is going to happen in season 5 or what you're looking forward to and all that stuff. But I'm going to save all that for the coming weeks because if I try to talk about all that now, it's just too much. It's just too much. But yeah, so the question of today is what I'm going to leave you with, and I pretty much already asked it, but did you guys know that this mystery guy was number 1 and that he's Henry and that he's Vecna? And if you did know, like at what point did you realize? At what point did you make the connection? Because I feel like some people was lying when they were talking about, oh, I already knew that. Because I'm like, how did you know? Like I sure didn't know. Maybe knowing that he had powers, I could see that. But knowing that he's Vecna too and that he was Henry, no, there's no way. Y'all all figure that out. I just don't believe it. But anyway, so tell me in the comments, or you can tweet me or anything like that. Hit me up on social media and just let me know. When did you connect the dots? Did you find out in the moment or did you realize earlier on that he was the villain all along or that he was going to be the villain? So yeah, let me know. And I'm going to wrap up the episode because I've been talking for long enough. And like I said, we're definitely going to continue the discussion of Stranger Things into next week and probably for the next few episodes because episode 8 and 9 are really, really long. So I want to break that up. Um, I don't know. I don't know how much, like, trying to talk about the last episode. I honestly don't know if I'll be able to talk about it in 2 podcast episodes or maybe 3. I'm not sure. I still would love to have a guest on, so please let me know if you guys would like to come on and talk about the last 2 episodes of Stranger Things. I would love to have you on. And we could just do like a whole deep dive and you can tell me like what you thought about the episode and what your favorite parts were and all that kind of stuff. Like I would love to do that. So please don't be afraid to reach out to me if you want to be on the podcast. It's really a simple hookup. Like we can definitely make it happen as long as you're available on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. because that is when I go live. And yeah, like I said, I'm going to end it here and we'll continue the discussion next week. And I hope you guys have a good rest of the week and I'll see you then. Bye bye.